All right, Krug Show on a Thursday night, getting ready to go to Philly. Just watched Miami beat Ole Miss in the college national semi. Miami's going to play the national championship game at home and maybe against Damon's Indiana Hoosiers. We'll find out tomorrow on that one. But we got a lot of Niners to get to, a lot of Niners, Eagles, Sterling's in the house Thursday night. A lot to get to. Let's go. Off and running on the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California is Pig and a Pickle. Check them out there in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. They're going to open in 2026 in Petaluma. That's right. They're growing. Check them out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue you're ever going to eat, especially here in Northern California. Check them out. Great barbecue. Amazing brisket. The brisket chili is fantastic. The homemade potato chips are incredible. You can only get them in Corte Madera. Here's the question of the night. Will the homemade potato chips cooked in beef fat, which are only now sold in Corte Madera, will they be sold in Corte Madera and Petaluma? Or is it just going to be the Corte Madera? We're going to find out. But that's inquiring minds do want to know. That is maybe the greatest potato chip of all time. It is cooked in beef fat, and they have the same rub that they put on the barbecue chicken. They put it on the potato chips. Sterling, as the kids would say, it's fire. It's fire.
It sounds delicious. So maybe I'll have to get out there to Corte Madera and try some of those chips because my wife made pizza and she used vegan cheese and it was disgusting. So I'm still hungry. So you never know.
We're often running, but the national championship semi, just watching this thing, it's funny. I'm the one thing that we can just say, I think definitively, is that we all know that quarterback's important. We all watch a lot of football, but it's really hard for most people to discern who are the good quarterbacks and who are not. Every year, there's a bunch of quarterbacks taken in the first round. And yes, you look at the playoff quarterbacks, 12 of the 14 quarterbacks came out of the first round. Yeah, that's true. But it also, doesn't show you all the incredible number of busts that there are. It seems like there's a lot of busts. There's a lot of guys who can't do it. And so it's always very speculative. And this year, it's considered to be kind of a down year for the quarterbacks. But Fernando Mendoza, who's playing tomorrow in the Peach Bowl, as I mentioned Damon Bruce before, he'll be there. Tomorrow we'll stream at 9 a.m. He's getting ready to go to the Peach Bowl. And then Dante Moore from Oregon. Ty Simpson from Alabama, I think, went back to school today. Did that happen? I didn't see that. There was some announcement around Ty Simpson today. Either he declared for the draft or decided to go back. I don't know what his situation is there at Bama. But then there's Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, who I saw LSU this year, and I'm telling you, Garrett Nussmeier ain't all that. He's not very good. Then there's John Mateer from Oklahoma. Seriously, LSU had some talent too, and Nussmeier doesn't look to me. He might be okay, but there's nothing that says, oh yeah, get your hands on Nussmeier. Mateer from Oklahoma is kind of fiery, but when he went up against better teams in the SEC late in the year, he looked bad. And then there's the two guys who played tonight, Carson Beck and Trinidad Chambliss. And they're different kinds of prospects, but they're both very intriguing. And I'm more intrigued by the two guys tonight than I am by the rest of this class. I like Mendoza. I really do. I think he's got the most talent, but so I'll definitely think he's number one. But Carson Beck is 6'4", 225. He has NFL stature. He completed 74% of his passes for the Canes this year, 27 touchdowns, 10 picks, kind of a lot of picks, but he is exactly the prototype, as far as, what do NFL quarterbacks look like? They look like that. 6'4", 220, loose arm, can really sling it. I've liked him. He started at Georgia. There's people that are critical of him. I just love the way he throws. He's a loose arm guy with a really nice stroke. I think Beck could be really good in the NFL. And then there's Chambliss. And now this guy, is almost the story of the year. First of all, for Lane Kiffin, I was rooting for Ole Miss. I wanted to bet the Canes today, but then I'm rooting for Ole Miss because of the whole thing with Lane Kiffin where he bailed on them, and here they are, making a run to the national championship despite not having their head coach who bailed for greater riches for himself. But Chambliss is really intriguing. He was 23 of 37 tonight, 277 yards. He had a touchdown, 5 runs for -7 yards. Wasn't much of a threat with his legs. Not the biggest guy, Sterling, like 6 feet. He's just not your prototypical NFL quarterback size. He's, shorter than Brock Purdy for sure, about 200 pounds, 6 feet, 200 pounds. But, man, the kid's got moxie. He's got some guts, and he can move, and he can throw on the move. And you saw at the end of the game, with the tears and all, what it means to him. I mean, he is really an emotional player, but he's all in, very, very invested. So I really like those two guys. Do you have a quarterback? And I mean, the Niners are hoping that this kind of somewhat subpar, understated quarterback class, which also has guys I think like Drew Aller and Cade Klubnik, and there's a few others for sure that are going to be in this class. But what's your thought on it? What do you like? What quarterback do you have a feel? Because every year all these guys every year. Oh, this guy's the next great guy. That guy's the next great guy. And in reality, there's so many busts, and very few of them are the great next guy. You know what I mean? What do you think? Do you have a favorite quarterback in this upcoming draft?
I think it would be Ty Simpson. He feels like a guy that the Rams would draft and stash for a year behind Stafford and just see what that turns into with Sean McVay. However, I do think that Chambliss, who I think is 24 this year, is trying to come back to college and wanting the extra year of eligibility. So he may not be in the fold for teams. But I think of the group, obviously Mendoza, he'll probably go in the first round because quarterback means so much. But I don't think it's crazy to say that this quarterback class is probably the worst in half a decade. Maybe maybe the worst since 2021. And it took, 4 to 5 years for Trevor Lawrence to finally grow as a quarterback and look like a competent one this year with Liam Cohen. So that's good news for San Francisco. I think you mentioned Carson Beck. He just looks like a Pittsburgh Steeler to me, where Rodgers retires after the year maybe, and Mike Tomlin's still there and comes into Pittsburgh, big guy, wants to throw it around. DK Metcalf's a wide receiver. It just screams Pittsburgh Steeler to me. But no, I am not a fan of the quarterback class by any means, which I don't think other people are either, which does that bode well for San Francisco? I'm sure it does when it comes to maybe trading away Mac Jones. But other than that, your tackles, your receivers, your linemen are going to be off the board probably before San Francisco picks in the 20s somewhere in the first round.
I wonder what kind of money Beck has made so far in college. I mean, he started at Georgia, and then he's been at Miami. He's from Jacksonville, and he originally committed to go to Bama, and then he decommitted, and he was going to play baseball. But this guy's a great athlete. He led Florida. He was Florida's Mr. Football. He led his high school team to the state championship. And then he committed to play baseball for the Gators, and then decided to focus on football and committed to Alabama for football, and then ultimately decommitted from Alabama and went and played college football at Georgia, and then was there in 2020 through 2024. Now he's a grad transfer for the Canes, and finishing up with the Canes. And man, if he won the national championship, I mean, the guy's got a 36-5 career record as a starter. It's not bad. 85 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. I mean, talking about a guy who career 70% completion percentage. Career. So 3 years for him, over 72%. So that's pretty high percentage. And he's got a loose arm. It's interesting though, if you look at kind of the way they have these quarterbacks ranked in the upcoming draft, they think Mendoza's going to go first. They think Dante Moore is going to go in the top 10. They think Ty Simpson's going to go in the first half of the first round.
Hmm.
They think John Mateer is going to go in the third round. Same with Drew Aller. Same with Garrett Nussmeier. Same with Carson Beck. They have Carson Beck going at the end of day 3, like a late third-round pick, 88th overall would be Carson Beck. And then Chambliss they have as a day 3 pick. I mean, there's other guys in this draft. Diego Pavia from Vandy, who's had an incredible collegiate career. There's Miller Moss from Louisville. Some people like him. Cole Payton from North Dakota State. Gunnar Stockton from Georgia. Probably the sleeper quarterback is the Harvard kid, Jaden Craig. He's 6'2", 230. So, and we'll get into the draft. There's other guys. I mean, Kevin Jennings from SMU, he looked really raw at times, but he's very athletic. I kind of like Haynes King, who was once upon a time a pretty highly recruited athlete at A&M, finished up at Georgia Tech and played well at Georgia Tech, and is really mobile. I mean, Haynes King is a big 6'3", 220-pound quarterback who can really, really put him up and put him down, as they say. He can really run. I think you're talking about, he's a Longview, Texas kid who went to A&M. I think he's like a 4.4 guy. I mean, he's got a lot of speed. So that will be interesting to see where he goes. But that's the thing about quarterback. Nobody really knows who's good and who's not good. And you're going to have, one of these guys like a Beck, I think the better way to do quarterback is, instead of looking for one and committing all these assets as soon as you have a need, the better organizations, the better way to do it is to draft a guy or two that you really like, or sign them after the draft, a prospect that you're intrigued by. That's, let's say, round 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just do that basically every year. Just take a look at some quarterback prospect that intrigues you. And for me, a guy like Carson Beck would be, especially when you're going to see, like, what a lack of quarterbacks there are in pro football. If you really feel like you got a good eye for it, I would definitely use a day 3 pick on Haynes King, because if you hit, you've got this athletic pocket passer quarterback, and just on a glimpse, just on a few games, people might say, hey, we'll give you a couple good draft picks for him. So, if you're looking to build while you're also a contender, I think that equation also now includes consistently drafting a quarterback in those mid rounds. And I'm telling you, the two guys tonight would be two of the guys very much at the top of my list as far as, guys I would take a look at. So anyway, let's get into Niners Eagles, because that's what we're here for. That's what everybody's here for. Hit like and subscribe. Welcome to the Krug Show. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, as we said. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. We're brought to you this week and going forward. Our trip to Philly starting tomorrow is brought to you by Claw Daddy Arcades, and we'll tell you more about Claw Daddy Arcades in a bit. And, of course, Sharp Corners, Sports Cards, and Collectibles. But let's get to the matchup. Niners and Eagles on the road in Philly. I don't want to lead you in any direction. So I'll just, before we get into it, let's just organically, what do you think of the matchup? Do you feel like, are the Niners screwed, or do you feel good about their situation? How do you view this matchup before we get into any of the particulars?
Yeah, it's been an odd conversation, because it feels like the national media is screaming, this is the worst matchup for San Francisco to face in the wild card round.
While you're going, I'm going to have to reboot, Kev says, because I'm kind of glitchy.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
You're good. But it does feel like the national media, the way they're talking about it is that the Philadelphia Eagles are the toughest matchup for San Francisco over teams like Chicago and whatnot, who they could have played in the first round. But quite frankly, I think that the San Francisco 49ers defense almost catches a break this Sunday because of the way the Philadelphia Eagles offense has played this year. Jalen Hurts has been, quite frankly, not great for most of the season. The Eagles offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, has just been kind of a ragdoll of, this fan base in Philadelphia hating on him because of the play calls he's had and the way they've run things out there the past couple of months or so in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, I think, has been almost exploited by Kevin Patullo and really how bad the offense has looked. And I think Hurts, where he has shown to struggle in previous years, it has only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger in 2025. Obviously, AJ Brown's a problem, bigger body receiver. He may bully guys like Lenore and whatnot on the outside, but the big weakness that San Francisco's defense has is at linebacker, right? No Fred Warner, no Tatum Bethune. You may not have D Winters. You don't have Luke Gifford. You don't have Nick Martin. Nobody that you have is going to be over the middle. And thankfully, Jalen Hurts is one of the worst quarterbacks at targeting the middle of the football field in 2025. I think that, one of the big reasons why I am maybe not confident, but at least a little more optimistic San Francisco's defense can play well against Philadelphia is that their linebackers aren't probably going to be tested on Sunday. Your safeties will, your cornerbacks will, but Jalen Hurts, again, is one of the worst quarterbacks at targeting linebackers in coverage. He's 16th in passer rating. He's 36th in percentage attempts over the middle of the field. He's 25th in completion rate. He's thrown 3 picks to 3 touchdowns over the middle of the field. And he's around that Tua Jackson Dart area in ADOT. So it just seems like that while, yes, we can say Philadelphia's defense is great, their offense has really struggled. And Hurts does not see over the middle of the field, which could help San Francisco at least keep themselves in this game for 4 quarters.
So I'm back. So let's get into their Phillies offense, because you're talking about their offense, and
yeah,
it's weird. It's like their offense on paper looks great, right? I mean, you got a quarterback that's won a Super Bowl, that's in his prime, who can run, who's smart, competitive. And then you've got this, one of the great lines in football, maybe the best line, right? Last year, they were the best line in pro football. And then you've got Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. I mean, come on, man. You get those are 2 first-round caliber guys across the board. I mean, not all those guys went in the first round, but they're all first-round talents. Goddard's got 11 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at that going, oh man, they should just be absolutely wrecking shop on people. They've been together for a while. There's continuity. But instead, this Kevin Patullo's under the gun and Hurts is being criticized. And they're people that feel like their line is a shadow of what it was. And they're obviously, their line is obviously really, really banged up. But Sirianni, listened to his players, and they said, hey, we need some time off. And so he gave them some time off, and we'll see how they return in this game. Are they going to be able to run it at the Niners? I mean, watching the Seattle go for 8 yards on first down and watching the Niners miss so many tackles the last few weeks, I just kind of feel like there's at least a 10% chance that this game just starts and it's just Barkley left, Barkley right, Barkley left, Barkley right, then maybe a pass to somebody who's wide open because you got to come up to rally to stop Barkley, and then maybe, then you've got Hurts, in a tush push or some goal line situation. It just seems like they're going to rhythmically, beat the Niners down without taking any real offensive risks. Putting the ball in the air, none of that really, nothing really risky. Just keep powering ahead with Barkley and their big, powerful line. And part of me thinks that's possible. But when you listen to the people who know the Eagles this year, they're like, man, the offensive line, especially in the run game, has had serious regression. And I heard Adam Kaplan on KNBR today call their offensive line the worst inside zone run game in the NFL.
Wow.
The Eagles, because of their offensive line. If you look at how, yardage before contact, it's definitely gone the wrong direction. A year ago, Barkley wasn't being contacted in the backfield very often. This year, he's being contacted in the backfield regularly. And Mailata's not having a good year, even though he's awesome. Dickerson's really overpowering at left guard, but he's got bad knees. He's in a ton of pain. You can see that. Jurgens is a good player, but Kaplan thought he had a down year, even though he made the Pro Bowl, and he's got back problems. Tyler Steen is a downgrade from Mekhi Becton, and Lane Johnson comes into this game with a right foot, sprain. He's had a Liz Frank as well. So, you get old quick in the NFL, and you don't stay on top for long. And this is kind of why, you look at the running back, Saquon Barkley, he's down 900 yards from where he was a year ago. So they're not the same running team. So it's like, there's like what you are, reality, and the reality is they're not that great of a running team this year compared to what they were last year. But the 49ers are starting probably guys like Kazir White and Eric Kendricks. And what do you expect those guys are going to do?
Well, it's tough too, right? I think the one thing San Francisco was terrible at against Seattle was tackling, and it's been one of their Achilles heels for a lot of the season. And I think maybe there's a trend where you can see San Francisco, it's almost like they have a terrible tackling game, then they do find a way to somehow get right the next week, and then it kind of trickles off as the weeks progress. But I'm hoping how bad they were against Seattle, you do see some progression against Philadelphia, because if you look at what Saquon Barkley has done this year, he had 345 attempts last year. Doesn't look the same. He looks older. He looks tired, as things do when you carry the ball nearly 350 times in a single season. But he's only getting 2.71 yards after contact. So it really is, and it always has been, a big factor. If San Francisco's defense, for as bad as they are rushing the passer, sometimes in coverage, their safeties are just bad, they have to find a way to just tackle. Be fundamental in your tackling. You don't have to make a big hit, force a fumble, just wrap guys up and bring them down. Don't leave your lanes, don't leave your zones. Philadelphia is going to try to beat you on the outside, not towards the middle. They'll test you deep a little bit, but Hurts has played more conservative football as of recent. And I think that you have seen Philadelphia at times actually play worse against a zone coverage defense. So not to say San Francisco has like the kryptonite for Philadelphia's offense, but if they can find a way to tackle, they are going to be in this game. Now, I don't know for how long, or maybe Philadelphia comes out there rested and they just start demolishing San Francisco's banged up defensive line. But I think tackling is the biggest factor. You're not going to get Hurts and sacks. You're not going to get interceptions. But if you can just tackle, you can get yourself in more manageable third downs, which Philadelphia is one of the worst third down offenses in the entire league. So it's really about how do you find those small avenues to victory, tackling, and third downs. That is where San Francisco can somehow find their money in this game.
The one thing about Kazir White and Kendricks, they are veterans, and they probably are going to be better tacklers than maybe some of the young guys. But this does show that they went to special teams heavy at linebacker, and especially once they decided that Nick Martin wasn't going to be part of this thing, they should have poached somebody's good young linebacker and developed some other linebacker. Instead, they went Wallow, special teamer, Gifford, special teamer, Robinson, special teamer. It's like, when you have guys on the roster for other reasons besides what they're contributing as a player, you get in trouble. And I think, they really needed a real linebacker from scrimmage, and they have 3 special teams linebackers, and now they had to sign 2 guys. They're literally, who else is doing that? Who else is signing somebody on Wednesday? And man, that guy's going to play on Sunday. If the Eagles were doing that, we'd be like, dude, they're absolutely, the cupboard's bare. Look what they're doing. They're signing guys that were working at Kroger's or whatever, They're signing guys that were working at, 24-hour fitness, on Tuesday, and now they're in the NFL. So it's just, it doesn't look good for sure. And I think that it kind of does reveal that Niners made a mistake. This is the other big question. Ian Rappaport early on Thursday put out Trent Williams' status for Sunday's wildcard matchup against the Eagles is in doubt. Now, he said that on a show. He didn't source that or where he got that. But I was at practice today, and he practiced.
Yeah.
He practiced, and he looked pretty good. I would say he's going to – if you said to me, based on your intel, what would you say? I'd say, based on my intel, Trent Williams is going to play. D. Winters may not play. He didn't practice today. Keon White may not play. He didn't practice today. Ricky Pearsall may not play. He didn't practice today. But Trent Williams, I think, is going to play. So I don't know. That he's, you saw the numbers when Trent plays and when he doesn't. They're like 4-13 without him. They're obviously very good with him. They need him badly to play. But if today's practice is any indication, I think he's going to get out there. What do you think? I mean, I know it's hard to. Nobody's got sources, or I talked to Trent. I talked to Trent after practice. What do you think, though?
Yeah, I think Trent wouldn't practice if he didn't have the intention of playing. I think they would have held him out today and maybe tried tomorrow to get him out there. I don't know what Trent's hamstring feels like. It's his first hamstring pull in nearly 15 years in the NFL, which is crazy to think about. But I think Trent will play. I'm bullish on Pearsall playing, albeit he would help in a big way. But I will tell you this, one of the big reasons among many of them that we saw San Francisco's offense struggle against Seattle was, one, Trent not being able to be a pass blocker, but two, his ability to open the wide zone offense for this team, get out there as a pull blocker on screen passes to Kittle in the flat to guys. That was a big miss for this offense. And Philadelphia, albeit isn't the exact same defense, it is that Vic Fangio-led defense, which McDonald does utilize out there in Seattle. They play light zones and whatnot, or light boxes. And I think having Trent out there as a pull blocker will do wonders for this offense. So I think he plays. I think if San Francisco wants any chance to win this game, he has to play. If he doesn't, this game's basically over. And I don't think it's crazy to say that.
That's a major factor, I think, is Trent playing. Is Trent playing? And I think he's going to go. And somebody in the thing is like, oh, Ricky, don't say that Ricky didn't go. Ricky practiced today. There are several reports of him running routes. Reports from who? Because I was there at practice. He did wear a jersey, so there is a chance that he did practice with the team after we left. But he worked on a side field and ran by himself.
Yeah.
And he wasn't running routes. He was just jogging up and down. He wasn't even cutting sharply or anything. I would say you better check your sources on that. Yeah, I don't want to be like Jim Calhoun, get your facts and then come back and see me. I don't want to be like that harsh Maria. But I don't think he practiced today. I don't think he practiced. And if he did, he didn't practice when I was looking at him. He was not practicing. He was jogging. But there's another point beyond that. Nick Wagner has this tweet that I think is a pretty good one. And I want to share the screen on this. This is a good thought that we should probably explore for a second. He says, one thing to watch Sunday in 49ers-Eagles matchup, how much the defensive backs can get away with. Okay, so this is a big part of playoff football. It's kind of like in the NBA, and you go from the regular season to the first round. It's like, playoff intensity. And suddenly, these calls that would have been called obviously, in game 1 through 82 are suddenly allowed. You're allowed to kind of harass and harangue and, that kind of thing. The Eagles cornerbacks, Kaylee Ringo and Quinyon Mitchell, both had 5 DPI penalties, third most in the NFL this year, for 104 yards for Ringo, 92 yards for Quinyon. Those were the second and the fifth most yardage totals when it comes to penalties. So it'll be interesting. Lenore, he also adds for the Niners to 10 penalties this year with 2 for a DPI, 24 yards. And 24 yards with 3 defensive holding flags. So how is this game called? Is it officiated tightly, or is it loose? Do they let them play, or do they throw flags? I mean, I think that's going to be an angle in this thing, because you always got to find that line. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be physical, especially late in the year. The weather's cold. You're not moving as well as you did early in the year. And sometimes the officials penalize guys who can't move by, throwing the flag. And sometimes they let them play, and they let the violence kind of breathe into the game in the playoffs. I think that's a major factor. There may not be Ricky. It may be Bourne. It may be JJ. There's going to be small window, really tight window throws that are going to have to be made. If you look at the completion percentage, the Eagles defense leads the NFL in completion percentage defense. So the windows are going to be tight. Then you mix in a Niner team that has no vertical speed, and it almost guarantees the windows are going to be tighter. So how this game's officiated, Sterling, I think is one of it's not just a factor on a list of 100. I think it's one of the premier factors or primary factors in this game. If this game's called super tight, and the Niners receivers are allowed to, make plays and that kind of thing, advantage 49ers. If this game's called super loose, though, and, you got two guys there in Philly who are getting away with lots of penalties, I think that's going to favor the Eagles.
Yeah, my expectation is the NFL will let these guys play. I think that the Niners have a built-in excuse. You already mentioned it. They don't have the vertical threat. They don't have the route running specialist guy in Pearsall or even Brandon Ayuk for that case, I guess, if you want to throw his name out there, although he's never going to play for this team again. It is guys that are bigger bodied, 6'2", 6'3" wide receivers that don't separate well. And although that will initiate contact, usually they favor the cornerback in that case. Now you're hoping maybe San Francisco can use their physicality against Philadelphia's defensive backs, Juwan being one of the best cases of that. You want to see Cooper DeJean and him in the slot duking it out. I also think, even Adoree Jackson, who I know he's probably going to start over Ringo will. Like, he's someone that if Pearsall doesn't play, it's another missed opportunity because you could exploit E-Man Warrior in coverage in Seattle if you had Pearsall. And you can do the exact same thing against Jackson if you had Pearsall. But the way things are trending pretty negatively, he's probably not going to play. But yeah, I would expect they're in Philadelphia. I think the ref grew up in Philadelphia as well. I'm not going to claim homerism. Not going to do that here, but I do think that the NFL is like, hey, let the guys play. Let them go at it. The NFL wants to see, the fans want to see that, the Niners and the Eagles duke it out on the field. So nobody wants to see a flag fest.
The ref who's reffing this game has a Liberty Bell tattoo on his back. And he's got an eagle tattoo on his bicep, and he's got a picture of Harold Carmichael on his neck. No, I mean, yeah. Could you imagine, though? If
just above the waist.
Could you imagine like some super fan became the official?
Yeah.
Some Eagles super fan. He doesn't realize he's got an Eagles hat on. He goes out there. That would be epic. Yeah, the guys from Williamsport, PA. Very rarely there'll be a text or a chat that just grabs my attention so much so that I get distracted. But this one distracted me. Candace says, I want to see Larry fight Dom at midfield. That would be awesome. Big Dom?
Wow. Place your bets now.
Big Dom. I could probably get multiple hits in on Big Dom, but Big Dom's tight with Sirianni. I think Sirianni's probably the real tough guy there. It's not Big
All it
Dom.
takes is one boop to the nose and he'll be ejected real quick. Pull a Dre Greenlaw, boop him right in the nose.
Hot rumor is that Sirianni is Big Dom's bodyguard, not the other way around. Not the other way around.
Okay.
No, I'm just joking. We should tell everybody Sleeper. 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks. For daily fantasy, use promo code Larry. Very easy to remember. And Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. And thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. You ready, Sterling, to pick a sleeper lineup
Let's
for
do
Niners, Eagles? Let's, as Upton Stout said on draft day, let's do this. Let's do this. Then Lynch is like, yeah, let's do this. I think he called Jed York coach in the call. He's like, now we're going to put you on with our owner. And then Jed York's like, hey, man, welcome to the Bay. We're glad to have you. We're really excited to have you. He's like, all right, coach. Love you, coach.
I couldn't imagine Jed roaming the sideline, calling out plays on the call sheet or being like Robert Saleh and yelling at the defense with like ripping his shirt off mid-play because he's so excited. I could not see Jed doing that whatsoever.
It would be epic if Jed fired Kasarik and replaced him with himself. Could you
My
imagine the Niner D-line meetings after that? It's like out goes Kaseric, who's dipping and is playing at Texas Tech, and and now here comes this billionaire, son of a billionaire. It would just be unbelievable. It'd be a great movie. A great
my
TV show.
favorite Kosaric quote is being at training camp and you just hear him off in the distance, ass down, ass down. You're like, what is happening? In the corner, they're out there with the pads and the shuttle boards. You're like, what is going on? And all you're hearing is ass down, ass down. It's like, I think I want you guys to get your ass down because
dude,
he's one of the best coaches out there.
He's such a beaut, man. He's such a beaut. About 4 weeks ago, I'm at a practice, and you got AC/DC Back in Black, like just on like decibel level 98, just Back in Black, just super loud. And Chris is out there and he's sweating. He's got the t-shirt, it's kind of ripped, and he's taking the guys through their paces. And he's like, come on. I hear him say, come on. and then all of a sudden, guys start kind of look up. And he goes and gets his can of whatever he's dipping, Kodiak or something. He's like, and then he's like, Rob. He's talking to Robert Beal. He's like, Rob, I need it from you, Rob. And then Rob he's down in a 3-point stance, and he get off the ball, and he's like, get there. And he's like, and then he's like, Kosaric doesn't like the fact that Robert Beal waist steps. There's a little too much this. He actually steps back before he steps forward. So when Kosaric knows that, like we're watching or whatever, sometimes he will literally stand behind Beal and put his foot, and sometimes you'll get like a 2x4 and put a 2x4 behind Beal's back foot so that Beal can't go back and then forward. He wants him only going forward. Bryce Huff only goes forward. He doesn't come back and go forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's little stuff like that is the difference between making a lot of money in this league and getting drubbed out of the league in a short amount of time. And it's just what makes him a great coach, but he's into it. You know what I mean? And he's so fiery. Can the 49ers stop Saquon Barkley in this game? Or, was last week an aberration? They couldn't stop K9. They couldn't stop Charbonnet. You can't play football at any level. 1st and 10, 2nd and 2. 1st and 10, 2nd and 2. It does not work. You can't play 2nd and 2. You're just going to get roasted down the field on big pass plays. You're going to get confused. Your guys are going to start getting confused. It's demoralizing. Can the Niners stand up to Saquon Barkley? Or, because to me, if that's the first punch of this fight, right? And if the Niners can't defend Barkley, none of the other stuff's going to matter much.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because then they're just going to get Barkley all day.
Yeah, it's one of the big tests, obviously, for San Francisco. And I think, again, that comes down to tackling. Can you get Philadelphia into a 2-8, a 2-7, and then obviously a 3-5 and whatnot? Can you avoid short yardage situations with him? Because I think Philadelphia realizes that while maybe Hurts has played better in previous playoff runs, their path to victory, whoever they play, whether it's San Francisco, the Rams, whatever, it's Saquon Barkley and the offensive line. So, like you said, big test for San Francisco up front. Can you face it, take a hit, and then punch back? It's like a little boxing match, right? Can you get hit and get back up and keep going? I think San Francisco has a little more, bark in their bite this game than they would against Seattle, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. He's one of the best for a reason.
I'm looking at that number of Barkley on the sleeper, and I'm thinking about all those different options, and I'm thinking, well, wait a second. The one that's intriguing is the attempts, but then you think of they also have Tank Bigsby.
Yeah.
And Bigsby's look pretty good. So they may give the ball to Bigsby a few times, especially if they run and they have a lot of success early and they're up 14-0. They may just say, screw it. We're gonna go with Bigsby. We can beat these guys with Bigsby. That I have a little bit of fear of that. So man, it's hard to say. I'll say this. I'm going to go with the one I like here is 8.5 on the longest reception. Why?
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to throw him a screen, and he's going to go. You tell me they're not going to throw him one screen for 10 yards the whole day, one hitch for 10 yards the whole day. He's going for more than 8.5 yards on a reception. So I like that one.
Yeah.
Let's go with that one. You got
playing
one
it safe.
Like? Yeah.
Playing it safe right there. Yeah, I think you're right. I think, one of my bigger.
If you want to pick one, pick a player, and we can see what. Is there one that intrigues you?
What does George Kittle have in this game to offer us? Because I do think Kittle may be in store, not for a big game, but for a nice game. In the flat, read Blankenship. I like, honestly, like George Kittle getting 5.5 receptions feels right. I think it kind of has to if San Francisco wants to win, especially if Pearsall doesn't play. Either 5.5 receptions or I think in the flat it'll be screen, just feeding him and saying, hey, look, they got a pass rush. They want to get to the quarterback. How do we avoid that? Dump it off to your best and future Hall of Fame tight end to keep Purdy upright.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a great one. Go with the 6 there. Why? Because when Purdy, when the windows are really tight, the best chemistry he has with anybody is with George.
Yeah.
And so if there's anything that they can do with like total anticipation, like, you know what, we're just going to throw it to a spot and they're not going to be able to defend it because I'm going to know where it's going. You're going to know where it's going. And nobody, that's how Purdy's going to win in this game is he's going to have to throw some anticipatory throws to guys that he has a better rapport with than the Eagles can match coverage wise. You know what I'm saying? And Kittle's he's got the best rapport. So I like that one. Let's go with that one. Let's give me a little CMC. Let's see what CMC looks like. He was so disappointing. Don't you think he bounces back this week?
Yeah, the odds that the Niners offense can at least find some semblance of their running game feels like it's going to be a pretty high probability because you just don't shut out Shanahan twice in a row, nor CMC twice in a row.
There's a first touchdown. There's 18.5 rush attempts.
5.5 receptions again.
You like the 6 receptions?
Well, I just wonder, like you mentioned San Francisco playing from behind. If Philadelphia gets up 2 scores, they're going to have to pass the football. And if Philadelphia is getting home and the offense is overwhelmed, well, check down CMC all day.
I like that too. Adam Kaplan on KBR today said that the Eagles, the one thing that they really have not been tested, they have not been tested by a receiving running back. So let's go with that. I like that. Let's go with that one. 6 receptions for CMC. Let's go to JJ because, come on, JJ is going to score a touchdown. I just think JJ's got the anytime touchdown. They're going to go to JJ in the end zone. I mean, I just feel like he's going to score a touchdown. So there we go. So we got 4. Let's go with one more. Is there another guy you like here? You want to go with Hurts? You want to go with Goddard? You want to go with AJ Brown, Devontae?
I think Devontae Smith is going to score a touchdown in this game. He is, at least in my opinion, I fear him a lot more than I fear AJ Brown in this one. Knowing San Francisco's secondary, I think he's a guy that can get behind Brown or Mustafa and beat him over the top.
Yeah, if you look at the Eagles, they run a lot of hitches and a lot of curls near the line of scrimmage, but they also are like 4th in the league at deep ball percentage. Yep. They go down the field a lot, and the 49ers are 29th in the NFL, I believe, at defending the deep ball. So I would expect you're going to see some deep balls for sure. This is their deep ball guy. So I would say the longest reception of 21 yards is a lock. I would say he's going to have a 28-yard catch for sure.
Might be the first play of the game for all we know.
Yeah, that's a for sure. There's no doubt about that. The only way that wouldn't happen is if they come out running it very conservatively and they're just gashing the Niners. That there's really no reason to ever take a chance on Hurts taking a hit or anybody picking off a pass, and they may not go down the field just because they want to save it. But you never know. Devontae's their deep guy, and to me, I think they see the mismatch. They'll go deep. All right, that's good. So let's go with that. I think we got 5 right there. So Barkley's got to have less than or his longest. His longest reception has to be more than 8.5 yards. Okay. Devontae Smith's got longest receptions, got to be at least 22. McCaffrey has to have at least 6 receptions. Kittle's got to have at least 6 receptions. And Jennings has to have an anytime touchdown. If all these things happen, our $10 becomes $289. So that's a great one. Thank you to Sleeper. I'm loving Sleeper. We're having a really good time playing around with Sleeper every week. 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. And Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. And thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right. Let's hit our supers here. We got 4 in a row. Tommy Huxley says, Flynn, tell Larry is crazy for picking the Niners. Okay.
You gotta believe. You gotta believe.
It's not. Yeah, seriously. I mean, I'm going out there. I'm not going to get on a bird and fly across the country to lose. All right. I understand that it's going to be very difficult, but I also think the Niners. You got to remember this. I'm in the room. I do get a sense of the team. I get the sense that they haven't fired their last shot this year. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like there's a big shot left to fire. Now I understand it looks bad, right? I mean, they just lost a game where they just got worked, and now they're going on the road against a team that's a proud champion and has all kinds of good players, and they're rested and at home. But you know, I give the 49ers a little bit more of a shot than some people, because really the Niners are, if you look at some of the numbers, the Niners are one of the best teams in the NFL on offense as far as they don't go 3 and out very often. The Eagles lead the NFL in 3 and outs.
Yep.
And all it's going to take is the Eagles to go 3 and out 2 out of 3 series, and the 49ers to make a few plays, and all of a sudden they've got 13 points. And I'm not saying the game's over. It's not over. But that right there could make this a very even game throughout. And, you know, Shanahan is a really good offensive coach. Purdy's a really good quarterback. Even though they lost last week and they got snuffed out, he still played pretty well. He's still playing really, really well. I don't know. They're going to have to be able to run it for sure. You know, the one thing I was hoping for, and I don't know if it's possible, but man, look at the way the Bears ran it on them on Black Friday, where they ran for 281 and 6 yards a pop. That was the Eagles, and that was the day after Thanksgiving this season. We're not talking about forever ago. We're talking about and we saw the Bears, and the Bears are good. Don't get me wrong, but Christian McCaffrey's pretty good, and you know, Brian Robinson's pretty good. And the 49ers, you know, if they could run the ball in this game, and maybe they got a pass to set up the run, but if they can run the ball in this game, you know, and if they can pass protect a little bit, give Purdy just a little time to throw, I think they can pull the upset. I really do. I don't think it's a tough town. Philly's a tough town to repeat in. It's like there's so much scrutiny. I really think there's so much scrutiny that these guys are going to boo Patullo and turn super negative if the Niners lead 13-3 at halftime. There's going to be a chorus of loud boos, and those guys may tighten up.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because if you look at the stats this year, Philadelphia ranks 9th in the NFL in first half scoring. However, as the game goes on, they're 26th in the NFL, and they're already the 19th highest scoring offense. So they're not putting up many points in general, and their scoring tanks to near the bottom 10 in football in the second half. So going back to that boxing analogy, if San Francisco can just survive the first half, and albeit, you know, they're going to get exhausted and hopefully they can, you know, withstand, they have a good chance that they can stay in the game past the first half. They can win this. Now, obviously, like I said, it's going to be tough. It's an uphill climb, but I think there is a magic number for San Francisco. If you go back and look at every single one of Philadelphia's 5 losses this season, or 6 losses, excuse me, I think, in each one of them, they've allowed at least 125 rushing yards, and in 3 of them, over 150 rushing yards. I think if San Francisco can somehow find a way to get to 125 rushing yards, they can control the clock. It opens up play action. You can suck those safeties in, then bang, George Kittle over the top. Bang, Jawan Jennings over the top. It's all about who can stay in their game the longest. And I think San Francisco, for as much as they'll struggle on defense, their offense is still coached by the best offensive coordinator in football, a quarterback playing on a heater still, and Christian McCaffrey, who, albeit won't get it, should be in the Offensive Player of the Year conversation.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's going to depend on how Brock Purdy plays. Is he going to play? How is Brock going to play? Is he going to play well? Is he not going to play well? Here's one of the sound bites I really like. We'll get to that in just a second. Sorry about that. Not to take down the beautiful comment like F you, Larry, but let me get to this. I'll share the screen on this first. If I could hit the right buttons. It's amazing. You think I should be able to do this by now. I've only been doing this for a while. This is Juice from earlier today. I can really like this. This is courtesy of Matt Lively. He put this out. Here it is, little Juice.
Oh, for sure. It's more difficult, but then the payoff is better. It really does. There's nothing like that feeling of going into hostile territory and getting a win. So, it's a little bit more difficult, but it'll be worth it in the end.
So, he's feeling good about himself. He's feeling good about their chances, but he's talking about how good it feels to go into hostile territory. There's something that's a little bit more enjoyable watching your team win on the road. You know what I mean? There's just something about being able to win on the road. But here's Brock Purdy. I want to share the screen on this one and let you guys hear Brock. Brock had this comment today. Good stuff here, courtesy of Coach Yak's Twitter.
So many young guys on the team with that hostile environment. How much conversation does there have to be just to help them get prepared for that?
Yeah, I think, one, we've had guys that have played there, so we understand that. And obviously guys that have been in the NFL that have played in Philly, they get that. But, Kyle's done a good job too of, from the beginning of the week, like showing, all right, this is the environment that we're going to go into and we have to be ready for X, Y, and Z. And so I think for the young guys, they have a good idea, but, you're not going to know until you get there and you feel it. So it's going to come down to execution and big moments and, not allowing the environment to get you out of your zone. You got to be locked in however you can for 4 quarters. So
that's really true. I mean, the fans don't play and the whole thing is, there's a lot made of the Eagle fans, but I mean, it's hard to win on the road, but I will say this, 49ers are really good on the road. 49ers have been one of the best teams in the NFL this year on the road. I believe the 49ers second to New England and Seattle as far as wins on the road. And historically they've traveled really, really well. And Shanahan, I mean, sometimes I feel like they lay more eggs at home. I like the way the Niners look on the road. There's an edgier, they're a little bit more edgy. It's a little bit more us against the world. I'm never concerned about how they're going to look on the road. That's not really a concern. They show up on the road. I'm more concerned sometimes about how they play at home.
Yeah, I think, when you have Kyle and Saleh out there as your coaches, you're going to be prepared. And I think this is the playoffs. It's win or go home. You either show up or you don't show up. And if you don't show up, you're not going to play the following week. So I would expect I'd put my eggs in the basket of Shanahan and Saleh, at least concocting their, like you were saying, their last big punch, or, Custer's last stand of like, hey, we don't have the guys, we don't have Fred, and we don't have Bosa, and we don't have Mike Kell and our entire linebacker room to begin the year, but this is our last stand. What do you guys have for us? And can you go to war with me on the front lines one more time? You almost want to have Kyle and Robert Saleh kind of utilize the Braveheart, put your spears up and let's go, let's go fight one more time. Because this is all you got. And I think that I am, at least as a fan and someone that has watched this team have and be decimated by injuries all year, persevere. Now, is there a point in time where that ends and they just don't have any more fight left in them? Sure. But I do think that San Francisco is a team that can at least give any opponent a run for their money. And Philadelphia doesn't scare me as much as, say, a team like the Rams would, although their defense isn't great, or even Seattle would. Philadelphia is beatable. They've lost more games than San Francisco has this year, and those games really have been noticeable. Of like, oh, it wasn't really close. If it was close, there's a clear lane to victory. I think running the football is that, and I'm hoping Kyle and those can at least put together one more, immaculate game plan on Sunday against Philadelphia.
I was harsher than you on the Niners for sure at the trade deadline. You kind of understood what they were doing. I was harsh on Lynch and said, hey, what the hell's going on here? You guys need to do more. And then they went and got to 12 wins. If John Lynch right now, today, could have Jalen Phillips for that third round pick, do you think he would do it? Because, I mean, here they are. You don't know about the future of Bosa or Trent Williams or Kittle, or now Bosa's not playing this weekend, but you don't know about what the future holds for any of these guys. It ends quickly. If you don't believe me, go ask the Ravens, go ask John Harbaugh, go ask the Patriots, or go ask the Chiefs. It ends quickly. It's hard to stay on top. And the 49ers have a really good team this year. They could have had Jalen Phillips. My contention at the trade deadline was like, I don't really care if the Niners win or lose. I just want to see them compete. But I want to see them compete. I want to see them compete on the draft. I want to see them compete on the trades. I want to see them compete on the field, compete with the coaches, compete with the scouts, compete with the general manager. And to me, this year, to have as good a talent as the 49ers have, to have an easy schedule, and I realize Bosa's hurt, Warner's hurt, but, Jalen Phillips has had a profound impact on the Eagles. He's played really, really well. He's got a bunch of pressures, and he's really been a key guy for them. And that's part of the reason they've got the best defense in football, giving up 14 points a game since the middle of November. It's Jalen Phillips. He's been an outstanding pickup. He's energized them completely. Lynch could have jumped in front, and their third round pick probably would have been the accepted offer over the Eagles' third round pick at the deadline. And they decided to sit on their hands and not make the deal. I hope it doesn't burn them, but I get the sense that Phillips is going to be a key contributor for the Eagles on Sunday. And if he was a Niner, he wouldn't be an Eagle. If he wasn't an Eagle, he's not sacking Brock Purdy. Maybe he'd be sacking Jalen Hurts instead. I kind of feel like they're a little bit reticent to fully compete, aggressively at the deadline, annoys the shit out of me. I'll be completely honest about it, because they've got third round picks coming out of their ears. They got all kinds of assistant coaches that are going to sign other places, and they're going to keep getting compensatory picks because of the free agent situation, allowing guys to walk away. You may not have Trent Williams in a year. You're going to look back at that and go, what? We could have had Jalen Phillips for a third, and we didn't do it because we wanted to keep our third round pick when we're horse shit in the third round. We've missed 10 third round picks just in the first, just 9 drafts, 10 misses in the third round. That's terrible. That's an awful run. I mean, I can name the guys, and you could too. So what do you think on this one? Because, man, the Eagles have Jalen Phillips. The Niners could have blocked that move and could have had him and opted not to.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that maybe not the Niners having not buyer's remorse, I guess, or feeling like they could have made a move at the deadline. I think I would at least ask the question, like, does putting Jalen Phillips on this Niners defense make that big of a difference or give us more confidence? And I think to look at that, I think you have to go into what Phillips has done in Philadelphia, albeit there is a different defensive structure out there and schematics in place. I don't think he fit well in San Francisco, but more to the point of his impact. Could you find a guy like that for this defense, whether it is Jermaine Johnson or somebody else that was available at the deadline? I think Phillips has more pressures since the trade deadline, since Samuel Kouanu, Bryce Huff, Yetur Gross-Matos, and Keon White, which is crazy to say. San Francisco's 4 best pass rushers have been outplayed pressure-wise by Jalen Phillips. Now, obviously, more goes into that than just a singular performance, but I also have to wonder that the Niners maybe didn't expect
41 pressures in 8 games for Jalen Phillips.
It's a lot.
7 hits on the quarterback, 2 sacks, 32 hurries. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I also wonder though, and this was my thought leaving the Bears game of like, did the Niners think that Brock Purdy had this second kind of burst in him to end the season? They didn't know what the toe was going to look like. They could have brought him back, and Mac Jones is playing quarterback at this point in the year. Not to say they punted. It was more of just like, we're banking on the quarterback coming back and hopefully saving us. But I wonder if they didn't even think this was possible, which maybe it goes back into your theory of like, go all in, or at least, be more aggressive and capitalize while you can. But I wonder, they won, 6 games in a row. They didn't think they'd be a 12-win team. Who did? I think if you ask John, at the deadline, you're vying for the number 1 seed at week 18. He'd been like, you're freaking crazy. So I do wonder if there was at least some questioning as, to how much the offense could put forward, and do they have a legitimate chance to be the number 1 seed? I don't think they believed that. I think it's why they were okay passing up the deadline and saying, look, we have some guys here that we think we can work with, albeit aren't going to give us, some amazing play, but it's good enough to get by, maybe not good enough to win, which I think is maybe where me and you have our differences. But I think it's where John and Kyle kind of drew that line in the sand of, do you want to get Phillips, or do you want to sit back and just see where things go?
Let's do a little exercise I did with Chase Sr. For a segment that's going to run Saturday on KBR.
Okay.
We played Who's Better? A little Who's Better. Okay. It's a real complex game. I named 2 people, and you tell me who's better. All right, here we go. Jordan Mailata, Trent Williams.
This year, Trent Williams.
What you're saying all time though, Jordan Mailata?
No, I meant like with Trent being injured right now,
up to the second. What you're saying is to this minute, up to the minute, Trent Williams.
Yes,
you're not saying that Trent wasn't good a couple years ago. You're saying
no. Trent's been phenomenal.
You're just saying Trent. Okay. George Kittle, Dallas Goedert.
George Kittle.
Dallas Goedert has 11 touchdowns this year. I know what you're saying, but that's pretty.
He's a
pretty
safety
impressive.
valve. Yeah.
Saquon Barkley as your number 1 back. Great receiver, great runner, CMC.
Ooh. I think I would pick Saquon, just less tread on the tires. Yeah, I think I'd pick Saquon.
Better secondary back, B-Rob or Tank Bigsby?
Well, if they'd actually give Brian Robinson some carries, we can actually decide if that's I think I would say probably Tank Bigsby. Yeah, Bigsby gets it for me.
Bigsby gets it. More of a money receiver, Devontae Smith or Jawan Jennings?
This year, Devontae for sure. 1,000 yards. He's been incredible this year for them.
Better quarterback, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Probably by a lot, to be honest with you.
Better defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, Robert Saleh.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
I think I'd pick
I'm
Vic.
bringing the heat now.
Yeah, I think I'd pick Vic Fangio.
Better backup tight end, Jake Tonjes, Cam Latu.
Oh, I mean, come on. Wow. I'll take
that.
Braden Willis for 5,000, please.
It's Grant Calcaterra. These Eagles fans go, hey, man, this Grant Calcaterra, man. Don't forget about Grant Calcaterra. Better head coach, Shanahan or Sirianni?
Oh, it's Kyle Shanahan by far.
So, okay. Better linebacker, Fred Warner, Zach Bond.
Fred Warner.
Better defensive end, Nick Bosa, Jalen Phillips.
Oh, Nick Bosa.
Okay. Better nickel, Upton Stout, Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean.
Better number 1 corner, Demo Lenore, Quinyon Mitchell.
Oh, Quinyon by far. I love Demo, but it's Quinyon.
Okay, so and then better GM, Howie Roseman, John Lynch.
Oh, it's Howie. He's the best in football.
What do you got against John Lynch? No, I'm just joking.
Those third-round draft picks are burning away. That's the problem.
Why do you gotta do John that way? Why do you gotta be that way?
And John's doing himself that way and the team.
Let's see here. I think we have this one from Baldy. Baldy was asked the same question on a Philly show. Who's better between you can have Hurts and Sirianni, or you can have Purdy and Shanahan? You just already told me, and I agree with you, that Purdy's better than Hurts and that Shanahan's better than Sirianni. And we think we know ball, right? Don't we? But Baldy also knows ball. So does he agree with us? Let's see what he says.
Baldy is the general manager, and he has his pick of two to start his franchise with one quarterback head coach combo or the other. Either it is Shanahan or Purdy, or it is Sirianni and Hurts. Which one would you pick?
It wouldn't even be close. It'd be Sirianni and Hurts. We're talking about, two guys that have been to 2 Super Bowls, won one, and been to other big games and been in the playoffs every single year together. That's not even. I wouldn't even have a debate with that.
Really? You wouldn't even have a debate?
No, not even a debate.
So how
one
much?
Guy's done it.
What's that?
One guy's done it. One guy's trying to do it. One guy's trying to get over the hump. One guy's trying to. No, when you've done it and you've been there, they never take that away. It never goes off your resume. That's what it's all about.
I suppose one of the things building a franchise is that when your head coach, just the way I would think about it on the other side, if your head coach is the guy, is also the offense guy, you're not doing this thing every year where you are chasing offensive coordinators and sort of chasing consistency. And that advantage, I think, is a pretty strong one in Shanahan's favor.
Well, I mean, look, Shane Steichen left in large part because of Jalen's success.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are getting jobs because Jalen's good. And he knows how to lead, and he knows how to play in big games. So, I mean, that's why they haven't had a lot of consistency there. They've had to replace a lot of guys over the years, but that's okay. I mean, that's part of the business, Kyle's lost a lot of good coaches too over the years.
Yep.
So it's to be expected. But I mean, look, Kyle's he's a great mind, and we need Kyle Shanahan in this league. We need Brock Purdy in this league. Like, we need great coaches, great coordinators. We need great quarterbacks. Otherwise, this league is like unwatchable. So no, but to answer your question, I wouldn't hesitate in taking Jalen and Nick right at this point.
Baldy.
All right, so there you go. There's Baldy, and I love Baldy, and you can hear Baldy on 95.7 The Game, and I'm a Baldy man. Okay, not necessarily a bald man yet, but I'm a Baldy. Give it some time. But I'm a Baldy guy. And I understand where he's going with this. But let's push back a little bit. By that measuring stick, then Brad Johnson and Trent Dilfer are better than Dan Marino and Jim Kelly because they did it. No. No other debate needed. No other analysis. We're closing our ears. I'm not going to listen. It was like that was like the prosecutor in the Duke lacrosse case. Remember that guy was like, I'm not listening to any evidence that that guy was such a crook. Anyway, I mean, come on. It's not as simple as that. You just can't be that simple. This guy won it. These guys haven't won it. Sirianni's better. Really? So Sirianni's better than every single coach that never won the Super Bowl. And Jalen Hurts is better than every quarterback that's never won the Super Bowl? Really? Like, you telling me, Baldy, if Buffalo calls right now and says, hey, you know what? We are tired of trying to win the Super Bowl with this guy. We want somebody who's already done it. We'll give you Josh Allen for Jalen Hurts. And you're going to say, no. No, our guy's done it. Your guy hasn't. We want a guy who's done it. I don't even know what this even means, but
done it. They've done it.
That's a catch on the sideline. First down. What if I secretly want to be an NFL ref? That's a false.
They've been terrible this year, so the jobs
Baldy.
are open. Giving them the business.
That's holding. Face mask. No, but I mean, come on, man. You can't be that simple. Purdy's way better than Hurts. Come on. It's obvious. Do we need to go? Do we have to bust out the numbers? I mean, really?
That's the crazy thing too, is because it's like, okay,
better.
so we're crediting Jalen Hurts, who is a fine quarterback. I don't dislike Jalen. He's a good guy, good leader. He's boomer sooner for life, But Shane Steichen,
one of the 2 colleges he played at.
but like we're in a way discrediting what Shane Steichen has done by saying he got a job because of what Hurts did. There's a reason why when Steichen left, there was kind of a little bit of an off season for Philadelphia. Then they go get Kellen Moore. Then they bring in Kellen Moore. They win the Super Bowl, and then he leaves, and then he goes out there. And Tyler Shugg looks pretty good out there in New Orleans. Not to say Jalen's I don't know. He's not a system quarterback by any means, but it's like a lot of players have Super Bowls and they're deserving of them by a wide margin. But it's like, really, like you were saying, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. You can go on and on. Jared Goff, like Jordan Love, like half the entire bracket this year hasn't won a Super Bowl, and I think Jalen Hurts is probably the second worst quarterback in the NFC this season. I don't think it's crazy to say that much.
You know what's hilarious is that there's this other, poll that I saw, and it was like a graphic on Twitter, and it was like the best head coach and quarterback duos in the playoffs, right? Going into the playoffs. So according to Baldy, Shanahan's probably considered one of the best coaches going, and Purdy's definitely one of the hottest young quarterbacks going, and yet he's saying Sirianni and Hurts are better. On this list, here are how they ranked the best head coach and quarterback duos. We'll see how many you can get in a row. Who's number 1? That's in the playoffs.
In the playoffs right now, I'm sure it's probably McVay and Stafford.
Yep, McVay and Stafford. See,
Makes
Sterling
sense.
knows his ball. Number 1, McVay, Stafford. Number 1. Who's number 2 on the list? It's a little bit of a surprise, but it's based on how they played this year. I'll give you that hint.
Based on how they played this year, I mean,
so it's really like in the moments, like
that makes me think it's either Bo Nix and Sean Payton, or it's Vrabel and Drake May. So let's do Vrabel and Drake May.
Vrabel and Drake May, number 2.
Okay.
Number 3 on the list. Do you want to guess?
It's probably Kyle and Brock Purdy.
Kyle and Brock Purdy. Sterling, you're good at this, dude. You could be like, if this were like the Family Feud or something, you'd be kicking ass. Top 5 answers on the board. Top 10 answers on the board. We surveyed.
Well, now you've jinxed it. I don't get the
bunch
fourth
of
one
fans,
wrong.
and we asked them, who's the best head coach and quarterback duos in the NFL? And they said, ding, ding, ding. You've gotten this in a row. All right, number 4, you've got McVay, Stafford 1, Vrabel, Drake May 2, Harbaugh, Herbert 3 or 4. Oh, that's 4. I just gave you number 4. Okay, I just gave that one away. Shanahan and Purdy 3, Harbaugh and Herbert. God, it's hard to say that. Harbaugh and Herbert 4. Can you name 5 through 10?
Ooh. Well, I'm going to assume 10 is Dave Canales and Bryce Young.
Well, there's 14 playoff teams.
Okay, so they're the very bottom.
They're not even in the top 10.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll give you this.
We're at 5.
We're at 5, and you already said one of them. And and we're only going to 10, and I'll guarantee you that Sirianni and Hurts are in between 5 and 10.
So I'll say this is probably Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
Yep, number 5. Bo Nix, Sean Payton.
And then so now we're at 6. So this is where I'll say Hurts and Sirianni are probably at.
Well, think it over.
Okay. There's Love. There's LaFleur. There's Ben Johnson and Caleb. Let's see. McDonald. Oh, it's probably Josh Allen and Sean McDermott.
Josh Allen. There you go.
Josh Allen and McDermott.
Josh Allen and McDermott. Was it Sean McDermott? Number 6. Okay, 7 on the list.
So 7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9, and 10. and I'll give you 7 is not Sirianni and Hurts.
Wow.
Yes. So now think about that.
Wow.
Baldy just said they're the
yeah,
best.
The best.
You know, the creme de la creme. You know, it's Cristal and cognac or whatever it is. It's the creme de la creme. But now here we are. They're not 7. Who's number 7?
Wow.
Playoff team, quarterback, head coach. Best head coach quarterback duos.
I feel like this is
1 is McVay Stafford, 2 is Vrabel and
Yeah.
Drake May, 3 is Shanahan and Purdy, 4 is Harbaugh and Herbert, 5 is Peyton and Bo Nix, 6 is McDermott and Josh Allen.
This to me,
7 is who? We need 7, 8, 9, and 10, and one of those is Sirianni and Hurts.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin are going to sneak in this top 10 somewhere. Yeah.
First
that's
X.
tough.
First X.
Okay.
They're not there.
This probably is LaFleur and Jordan Love then. Wow. Okay.
Not
okay.
there. And they're not. And neither of those are in the top 10, by the way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
So let's think. We have Stroud and D'Amico Ryans. Okay.
Not in the top 10.
Oh. Okay. Wow. The only other one I can think of I would legitimately put in here would be Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen, but I don't think they get the respect.
Trevor Lawrence and Liam
Wow.
Cohen. It's skewed to recency bias, right? So
Okay.
it's a January 8th Twitter poll. So it's
Wow.
Cohen and Lawrence are 7. So
That's
who's
crazy.
8? Who's 8?
Darnold and McDonald?
They're 10.
Who voted on this poll? What's happening? Wow.
So you got 8 and 9 left, and one of them Sirianni and Hurts.
Well, I mean, this has to be Sirianni and Hurts. Has to be.
At 8? No,
Yeah.
they're 9.
Oh my goodness.
So that's my point. My point is that Baldy just said that they're better than like the creme de la creme. They're not even in the top 5. They're not even in the top 8. They're 9th. But go ahead.
Wow.
You want to guess who's 8? I don't necessarily agree with this one, because this one's a little bit of a we're getting caught up on the future and projecting and all that.
Oh, so it's probably Caleb and Ben Johnson then, right?
Caleb and Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson. But come on, you're going to put Caleb and Ben Johnson over Sirianni and Hurts when Sirianni and Hurts have rings, and Caleb's never won a playoff game. Ben Johnson's never been to the Super Bowl.
Besides handling egos, do we really know what Sirianni does? He doesn't call plays on offense or defense.
He protects Big Dom. He's Big Dom's bodyguard.
That's right. That's right.
He's Big Dom's bodyguard. No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, he talks a little trash. The Eagles, by the way, if they replace Patullo at the end of the year here, Hurts would be on his 7th offensive coordinator. How about that? Now, that's the point that the host was making to Baldy, was that, hey, the thing about Shanahan is he is the offense. So there's continuity there on your offense. And isn't that worth something? And Baldy wasn't hearing it. Man, come on. He doesn't have the ring. He doesn't, and I get it. Baldy's in Philly a lot. He deals with a lot of Philly fans. What does he want to make his life living hell? Because he says Purdy. But you know what? It'll be interesting to see if Purdy and Shanahan beat Sirianni and Hurts.
Yeah, I'll have to re-ask him that question.
Yeah, maybe next time he comes on 95.7 the game, you drop that. Hey, Baldy, just to revisit. Ooh, I'll be there for that. Let me know when that's going to be there. Let me know when that's going to be on. I'll check that out. All right, let's tell everybody that in addition to the fact that we are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, and we just did our sleeper lineup, we are going to Philly tomorrow. Kevin and I are boarding the bird, and we're going to Philly courtesy of Claudaddy Arcades. Claudaddy Arcades is sponsoring our trip to Philly this weekend. They've got locations in San Diego, LA, Palmdale, Visalia, Fresno, Modesto, and Capitola. coming north, the ultimate destination for claw machine gaming and prize play. They're bringing family fun and entertainment to communities across California. So he's a great follow on Instagram at claw_daddy_arcades to find a location near you. Big thanks to Claw Daddy Arcades for supporting the Krug Show's trip to Philly. And also thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. The great Anthony Catania has also helped us quite a bit. He's at 831-521-5264, or you can connect with him via Instagram at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. All right, couple more thoughts I want to share with you, and tell me what you think. One, I heard Adam Kaplan today say that the Philly O-line is the worst inside zone run game in the NFL. And it's probably because they're banged up on the offensive line. I thought that was kind of interesting. But the one thing that's really undoubted is that Vic Fangio is a great defensive coordinator. And there was something that came up this week that I thought was kind of interesting, and I thought you'd be the perfect person to talk to about it. And that is, Shanahan was asked, hey, were you ever close to hiring Vic? And he's like, well, he was always he had another team that he was working for at the time in all these situations that he couldn't get away from. But Shanahan made it seem like I think he went on to say, I really liked Vic's defense. Vic is considered one of the best defensive coordinators in football, if not the best. And he's had the upper hand on Shanahan in 4 games recently. They haven't played since 2018. And Shanahan's always had the worst quarterback, but he's held Shanahan teams under 20 every single time, and sometimes under 10. But one of the things that Shanahan said was that, no, like, oh, would you consider changing your scheme for Vic? He's like, I've always loved Vic's scheme. But Vic runs a 3-4 scheme, and the Niners run a 4-3 defense with the wide 9 and Kasarik. I don't think that Kasarik and Fangio necessarily coexist on the same defensive staff. So if the Niners, they have Saleh, but let's just say Saleh gets the job somewhere. And today the Ravens asked to talk to him. Arizona, there's a bunch of teams, Baltimore, Tennessee, Arizona, Atlanta, Tennessee, 4 teams asked to talk to Saleh. If Saleh bolts at the end of the year, I think most people think Gus Bradley will be the new DC.
Yeah.
But if it came down to a day where Fangio was available, would you rather keep Kasarik in the wide 9 and the 4-3, or transition to Fangio, and invariably that means switching to a 3-4?
Well, I think my first question would be, how does that impact Nick Bosa and Fred Warner? It probably impacts Fred a heck of a lot less than it would Nick Bosa. And I think if there weren't ties to Bosa, I would say, yeah, do it. It obviously works. I think you're seeing more teams run that Fangio-style defense. McDonald does it in Seattle. You see other teams adapt to it. And I think, in a couple years, I don't know how old, or how long Vic wants to coach for, but if Nick Bosa isn't here in a couple years, or whatever reason things don't go well with and they have to depart, I think a lot of San Francisco's scheme is tied to the players they have, though. And I think if they weren't tied to Nick Bosa, I think they would be open to changing it. I do wonder what years, though, Shanahan was open to that. Was it the Steve Wilkes season in 2023? Was it post-Saleh the first time when Ryans was coaching, or was it the Steve Wilkes and then Nick Sorensen two years?
It was the 2017 team, I think.
Okay. So it was like his first staff. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that makes more sense because you don't have an established
Saleh.
Yeah.
Saleh, right?
So you don't have the established system already in place and everything. And I think it would be easier now to transition from Saleh to a Jim Schwartz or Gus Bradley or somebody else in that kind of vein. I don't think right now they can make that transition. I think you may piss off some other guys in that room. Bosa, you have Huff there, take that for example. Your 2 edge rushers, say it's next season, Saleh leaves and Fangio wants to come to San Francisco. You already learned one of those guys doesn't like that system and isn't the fit for it. So are you going to let Huff go and sacrifice some good pass rush opposite Nick Bosa? So I think right now it's kind of, you are stuck in the lane you're going, which it's worked for a lot of the time. But yeah, I think they're kind of stuck now.
do you look at it as, Shanahan has something to prove? Because Fangio has had the upper hand against him. If you look at the numbers, I mean, Shanahan's teams don't score a lot of points against Fangio's defense historically. 11, 6, 15, and 9. So they've averaged about 10 points a game against Fangio.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something to prove. I mean, obviously it's the playoffs, so you want to win. But I don't know. The way I view Shanahan's history against Fangio is similarly how I view it to Jim Schwartz. Of they've always given you trouble. It's a tough defense that you just haven't really been able to crack the code on just yet. But I don't think it's anything of I have to prove something to Vic or to myself that I can actually beat this. But I do think that Vic Fangio's defense, for as bad as Shanahan's record against it is, I do think there are holes to it. You can target linebackers over the middle of the football field. You can get guys in soft zones in between the safeties and linebackers in the intermediate part of the offense, or the defense, excuse me. And there is ways where you can beat guys in the flat too. And I think the way that the Niners have won games this year, albeit maybe less or so than previous seasons, I do think it feeds into what Shanahan wants to do, especially if Pearsall can't play. So I don't know. I just feel like that besides Zach Bond, you can beat Jacoby Dean. He's had a pretty rough year. He's a good run blocker, but pretty bad in coverage. And I think that the Niners offense is almost, on paper at least, if they had their dogs out there and they were healthy, I think they'd have a pretty good chance at actually scoring some points against this defense this year.
It's going to be windy, they say. It's not going to be that cold. It's not going to be, they're thinking the rain's going to come early in the day, but it's going to be very windy in the afternoon there. That has a tendency to bother quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting to see if Brock is impacted at all by the wind. D. Winters didn't practice today. Luke Gifford didn't practice, and he did practice yesterday. He was limited. And Keon White didn't practice today. There's a chance that they're going to have to play Kazir White and Kendricks a good chunk of this game. How nervous are you about that?
I think I would be more nervous if they were playing Stafford, Sam Darnold, Jordan Love, offenses that are more geared towards targeting linebackers and coverage. Obviously, Philadelphia's offense has their own problems. They just don't target the middle of the football field. Hurts has a hard time seeing it. Patullo just doesn't call plays on the intermediate. He's one of the worst passing quarterbacks targeting linebackers and coverage as well. So I think I'd be more nervous if they were playing a more Shanahan-esque, McVay-esque, Kubiak-esque offense. But because they're not, and a lot of their offense is targeted more towards the boundaries and the seams, I think it actually at least gives me a little more optimism that San Francisco's defense has a chance in this one.
Robert Saleh was asked the question, do you like or dislike the tush push? And he said, I like it.
Okay.
What do you think? I mean, I think nobody really likes it, but I think what he's saying there is he doesn't want to see, somebody's success legislated out of the game.
Sure. Yeah.
That
makes sense.
If you want to shut it down, shut it down. But if somebody ever could make, could get 4 yards a pop and no huddle a tush push up and down the field, that would be the most boring football of all time. And the networks would literally, if that was football, the networks would not pay the money they pay.
No
way. No way. They would, so that's what it's like one of those things. It's like, well, usually a good barometer for something good or not is if everybody did it, would it still be okay? And if everybody in football tush pushed, I think that would kill the audience. I don't think people want to see I don't think anybody wants to see a team with a bunch of big, fat offensive linemen and a 280-pound back who's kind of quick. I don't think anybody wants to see them just no-huddle tush push from their own goal line to the other team's goal line.
Well, I think if we're being honest here, the NFL wants games to be 42-45 every single week. They want the audience to be celebrating touchdowns, and they want to see the running backs have 2,000 yards and receivers have over 1,000 yards. They want to see offenses score points. It's the reason why they changed the kickoff rule, was to get more more offense involved in the game and allow scoring to happen quicker, because they realize we're in this time and place in America where it's like you have 15 seconds and you lose people. Now it's the NFL and they've, have a long history behind it to help kind of carry them. But yeah, nobody wants to see 300-pound men be.
Uh-oh. Sterling froze. Now you froze, Sterling. I was glitchy before. Now Sterling froze. Why don't we do this, Sterling? Once maybe Sterling reboots and jumps back in. I'll read a couple of these supers while you do. We have this one from the Recovery 716. He says, F you, Larry. You're an awesome person. Loved your content for years. Go Niners. LOL. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Tommy Huxley is in the house. He says, Galen Squirts is going to make Tig his B. Gosh. Nice. Great imagery. Great nickname. The Recovery. So you're telling me there's a chance. You're back.
I'm back. Sorry.
Go ahead. Finish your point.
No, I was just going to say that I think the NFL is in a place where they want offense, and the tush push is going to, kind of put a stranglehold on that, and they don't want that. They want points. They want fast-paced offenses, and they want to, see fans cheering and whatnot. So if you have a bunch of guys tush pushing, I'm going to change the channel, basically.
Exactly. The Recovery said, so you're telling me there's a chance. Yes, there is a chance. There's always a chance. Austin Bishop, could you go through your wild card weekend picks? We will. We absolutely will.
Ooh.
We'll finish up with that next. Travis Stewart says, F you, Krug. You're awesome. Thank you for all that you do for us. Thank you.
What is the history behind the F you, Krug thing?
Oh, when I was in the Canadian Football League, that was my nickname. F you, Krug.
Okay.
And he'd be like, fuck you, Larry. Fuck you.
It's a lively bunch tonight in the chat.
And so I told that story. And whenever I run into guys from that 94 Gold Miners team, they're always like, hey, it's F you, Larry. And I'm like, hey, thanks, bro. I appreciate it. But it was a term of endearment. Nice. All right, let's roll through the games this weekend. And this is courtesy of Habbas Law. We will make our picks here. Thank you to Habbas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Habbas Law. Outstanding PI attorneys. If you've been injured and you want to win, there's only one call to make. Habbas Law. Visit HabbasLaw.com. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Thanks to Habbas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's go with some picks here. Why don't we start? We'll start right at the top and we'll roll right through the slate. Who do you like? Rams, Panthers?
Oh, Rams. I don't think anybody outside of the Panthers fans are picking Carolina, and even them are probably questioning their decision. Better quarterback, better coach. You throw 3 interceptions your first time against Carolina. Devontae Adams is back. I'm expecting Stafford to have the gears turning a little better against the Panthers this time.
Yeah, I like the Rams. The Rams are going to put the Panthers away. I think that will be a blowout. Packers, Bears at Soldier. I'm going Green Bay.
Yeah, I agree. I think Green Bay has it. I think they're a better team, better coach team now, at least. And I think that they're more battle tested. I don't know what Caleb looks like in the playoffs, and that defense has a lot of holes in it. So I lean Green Bay, and if San Francisco can pull things off, Green Bay would play Seattle, and you'd play the Rams. So it might work out in their favor in that case.
Wouldn't that be something if it was Niners, Packers at Levi's? Woo! Bills, Jags. I'm going with Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence is hot. I just don't believe in Buffalo, and I'm taking the home team Jags.
I'll pick Buffalo. I don't want to, though, but I'm going to pick Buffalo. I think Josh Allen's having a great season. I do not trust Sean McDermott's defense at all. If Jacksonville can establish the run, then it might be game over and might even get fired by the end of the season.
Niners, Eagles, who do you got?
I'm going to go Philadelphia, man. Better roster. They're healthier. They're at home. I just think that this is where the buck ends with San Francisco. It sucks. I think this is where things go, but a great season nonetheless.
I think the Niners have a big shot in them. I'm going to say 23-20 Niners win. Chargers, Pats from Foxborough. I'm going Patriots. Who do you like?
I'm going Chargers. I think you have Vrabel, heck of a coach. Drake May's having a great year, but Jim Harbaugh in the playoffs, Justin Herbert in the playoffs, if they can establish the run. I think the Chargers have surprisingly played better on defense too. Jesse Minter may be a head coach in this carousel, so I'm going to go with Jesse Minter and the Chargers.
And Texans Steelers in Pittsburgh. I like the Texans big in this one.
Yeah, you got a statue 40-year-old playing quarterback. Doesn't fare well for him, so I'm going Texans as well.
Wow. Who do you like tomorrow in the college game? It's Indiana against Oregon.
Ooh.
Indiana is a 3.5-point favorite.
The Mendoza train continues. Damon probably gets a little drunk tomorrow night. Probably has some fun afterwards, but I think Indiana wins.
I agree. I like Indiana over Oregon. That's going to do it for us. Thanks to Sterling. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our sponsors. Have a great night. Tomorrow, we board the bird for Philly, and we'll see if the Niners can get it done. For Sterling, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you won't get exactly what you ask.